Hey everybody out there, you're tuned in to 91.8 The Fan. This is Kana and you're in my corner. I'm here with a certain special someone. Would certain special someone like to say hi?
If the certain special someone would be me, then yes. Hi, I'm Chris Sabat.
It's a pleasure to have you onto the show. I've actually heard a lot about your career, mostly from our producer actually, who apparently went to a panel of yours over at AAC. And I heard
Oh.
that you used to be a janitor.
Oh, yeah. It's possible he may have seen one of those late night panels where a lot of things that are said aren't true. Perhaps like I was inebriated, or perhaps it wasn't even me. But yeah, I wasn't actually a janitor, but you could imagine that I was at the beginning because Funimation was such a small, tiny little place that that we all felt like janitors sometimes. We were
Well,
picking up the anime messes all day.
Well, you got to see the origins of Funimation, and that must have been sort of an interesting experience because it's grown into such a huge company today.
Oh, yeah. It is night and day what Funimation was then and what Funimation is now. Uh, I don't even think we have enough time in a day to tell you all the crazy fun stories about where Funimation started. Because at the time we really had no clue what was going on. Like nobody did. And everyone was just trying to make well, at the time all we were trying to do was just make this cartoon. Hardly any of us knew enough about anime to make it like to understand the show, and you couldn't stream a radio broadcast over the internet. You were lucky if you could like download a single picture, which would take you perhaps all night to download over your cruddy modem. So there wasn't a lot of information on anime out there that you could access really easily. I mean, now you can get online, you could find anything you want to. But back then, boy, we were just lost.
And you've seen anime sort of grow into this big monster. You've seen the boom and sort of, I don't want to call it a downfall, but sort of the, I guess you would say famine of recent times.
Yeah, I've actually seen, like, I guess another way of putting it is I've seen anime monetized and then I've seen it demonetized. Like I've seen, cause I was behind, a lot of the Dragon Ball stuff. If people aren't familiar with what I've done, like the first show I worked on was the Dragon Ball Z series. And that show, when we worked on, we didn't know that it was going to be a huge success. And then it did become this enormous financial success where Funimation just had like enough money to buy any property they wanted to. But yeah, I saw those times, but now I'm seeing a time, where you can have access to kind of anything you want to watch or do. And it's definitely not the right time to be in the business of trying to sell video to people. But it is an awesome time for anime because you have access to anything you want to watch. Like true fans of anime get anything they want right now. They can buy it legally, they can download it illegally, they can watch fan subs of it somewhere, they can stream it from, some dude's living room in Japan. I mean, you've got I guess the end goal for any anime fan is to be as close to the culture as you can possibly be. And you cannot be any closer to Japan than you are right now. I mean, unless you just move there, or you live there.
That's true. There's so many anime fans who, go to conventions or try and learn Japanese or study up on the culture, and some even try and get into those teacher programs to go to Japan. So you do have a very, very valid point. Are you kind of interested in Japanese culture yourself?
I love Japanese culture. I adore Japanese culture. I can't say I'm an expert at it, but I like Japanese aesthetics and Japanese design and Japanese people and Japanese food. So yeah, you could say that. I probably like a lot of those things more than I actually like anime because, I work in anime all day And sometimes when I get home, I just don't want to actually see anything that even has, bright colors in it. So that's why I come home and I play video games that have really dark, dirty colors in them.
Play lots of Call of Duty.
Yeah, at times, yeah.
But knowing a little bit about the Japanese culture, I'm sure helps, when you're working on a series involving anime or anything like that.
Oh, it absolutely does. Although, to be honest, sometimes when I'm working on a show, and in fact, in a lot of cases, unless it's kind of a period piece or something like that, and a lot of times I really, when we're working on a dub, we try to stay as close as possible to what the original intention was, but not. Sometimes I know I'm kind of tripping all over myself, but I don't always try to stay as pure as humanly possible, because sometimes that just gets confusing. If I think that saying a line a slightly different way will make a scene more interesting, or might make a scene like more natural sounding to an American's ears, sometimes I'll do that. And I don't think it's necessarily wrong. I just want Americans and English-speaking people to enjoy the show as much as their Japanese counterparts, because they don't actually have to think about any of that kind of stuff. We do. I think Funimation's gotten a heck of a lot better at staying close to the translation than they were at the very beginning, when they were trying to manipulate everything to make it sound appropriate for a 5-year-old. But yeah, I don't even know where the original point was. I guess knowing the Japanese culture helps, but knowing the anime culture and kind of knowing kind of the personality types helps even more,
Yeah, and I'm sure it's also helped because I guess you could say here in America, or at least to niche anime fans, you can look at cartoons in a different way, not just how most Americans look at cartoons, they're for your 5-year-olds and things like that.
Oh yeah. The stories in these shows that we work on are a heck of a lot cooler, and you could say ahead of their time in some ways, because you look at American television culture, and if you really want, I'm sure you could find some obscure examples here and there, but one of the first popular shows I think on American TV that had even a serial storyline was like 24. And I'm talking about like the American kind of dramas, but Dragon Ball and some of these anime had these really crazy serial concurrent storylines long before, American kids ever wrapped their brains around them. Because I'm assuming their parents assumed kids were too stupid to follow a story that continues over 300 episodes rather than just.
Oh, it seems we might
20
be.
minutes.
Oh, there we go. Seems we got a little bit cut off at the end of the sentence there. Thank you, my wonderful technology.
Yeah. Well, it is pretty awesome. We are actually transmitting our voices to a satellite and back again. So, some room for error, I guess, is okay.
Yes, we're about to ask the government for $1 billion.
We'll fix it in post. Oh, wait, this is live, isn't it? Crap.
Yeah. Yes. But at the same time, since we did get a little technology jerk, you got to see technology in the booth change, leaps and bounds. Can you talk about that a bit?
Oh, yeah. See, now there's one thing I love, and I absolutely love staying current on technology. I don't feel like you have to have the latest and greatest technology to produce anything good, but I love trying to find small ways to make things happen faster. That's what all the guys at Okratron, the studio that I run, that's what we all try to do. We were the first studio, perhaps one of the first studios anywhere that had a fully paperless production system. We went, 7 years ago to a fully digital recording studio, so that the actors' scripts were all on teleprompters and monitors rather than on, printed sheets of paper. But yeah, we try to do everything we can to make things neat. When we first started at Funimation, I mean, technology was pretty expensive to do pro recording back then. It was especially pro digital recording. And I remember the guys at Funimation set up this crazy rig, and we had to record with this enormous 3/4 inch beta deck. It's like this giant commercial production tape recorder. And the thing was like, I don't know, maybe 2.5 feet by 3.5 feet. And it took up a huge space on the desk, and it was loud. And if you didn't get the take right, you'd have to rewind it to the beginning of the scene, which sometimes could take 5 minutes. I was a smoker back then, so I got a lot of smoke breaks when we were in production.
But at the same time, were you paid by the hour? Because I would think that would be pretty nice if that was the case.
Well, you could say that. I think the actors benefited from it more than the production staff, because every hour we were there, that we lost, we had to make up in another day of the week. Another hour in the week. So back in those early days when we were trying to get Funimation's show Dragon Ball Z on the air, we were spending 110 hours a week. I mean, I remember when Justin Cook, who's now one of the head producers out of Funimation, he was one of my earliest engineers, and we would spend all day and all night up at the studio, just countless hours. And when we weren't there, we were probably just hanging out playing The Sims or something like that in the few hours that were left before we had to go back to work, So
that sounds kind of fun, but at the same time, you must have had a lot of passion for it to be able to dedicate so many hours.
It was passion mixed with a lot of responsibility. Like, I feel like I might have been able to enjoy Dragon Ball Z more had I not had to spend so much time on it. But I will say, it was an awesome process, and it still is. I mean, as you know, we're working on dubbing Dragon Ball Z Kai right now, and it's the coolest feeling to be able to do something again that you did 10 years ago. It's not too many people get a chance to do something over like that, and it's funny how easy it is to do now compared to then, because we know the story, we know where everything's going. Back in the original days, we hardly knew where Dragon Ball Z was going to end, because the Japanese wouldn't send us all the material. So we didn't have all the scripts, and we didn't have all the video. We were having to get like these cruddy bootleg videos from Mexico just to be able to see some of the series. So I was playing Vegeta at the time, and when we would get to scenes where we're recording big moments for him, sometimes that was the first time I was ever seeing that moment. So in some ways, I lived through the series like the characters I was playing. So when Vegeta had a big power up, or he comes back to kick an android's butt, or he's become a Super Saiyan for the first time, or he fails another time and isn't a Super Saiyan, it felt really awesome. I felt like I moved through the series in real time. So
I have to wonder, though, going back and doing it over again, what was the greatest feeling? Was it being able to fix any mistakes off the original? Was it just visiting the characters again?
The funnest part for me about working on Dragon Ball Z Kai was getting to do it again the way we realized it could be done the first time. The first time around, it wasn't just Funimation. I think it was the general consensus. People who owned television networks believed that you couldn't put something on the air without dumbing it down and making it as idiotic as possible and as silly as possible, because otherwise kids weren't going to watch it. But I think we found now that you can run Dragon Ball Z on TV with a really close translation, not having to change too much, and it still works. Kids still like it. People still watch it. And it's been really fun to prove that you can do a good dub and make it successful, as well as keep it true to its original spirit.
I think that's really interesting to hear about sort of the past of it all. And I think we're going to take a very short break here on 91.8 The Fan. But you want to keep it tuned. I won't scare away our guest. And don't go anywhere.
Hi, I'm the Celtic Guardian, but you guys can call me Dave. When I'm not busy being sacrificed in order to summon monsters that are halfway useful, I like to listen to 918 The Fan, one of the hottest online radio shows on the worldwide internet highway. Thing. Did I mention I have like 1,400 attack points? That's a big deal in my world, you know. Plus, I have a sword. Does the Blue Eyes White Dragon have a sword? No. Fuck the Blue Eyes White Dragon. Seriously.
Okay, when we go back on the air, I need you to laugh like really hard, like I said something really funny right before we went on the air again. And then you can laugh and everyone will think I'm super funny.
I think we're already back on air, though.
Really?
Yeah.
Oh, crap. Then do your thing, but pretend I didn't say that. We
Okay.
can fix it in post, right?
Yes, totally.
Good.
All right, for everybody out there, you're tuned in to 91.8 The Fan. This is still Kana. You're still in my corner, and I still have my guest here, and we want to know what upcoming projects you have to promote or pimp out to everybody out there.
I'm not doing anything really. I'm doing a sweet toothpaste ad. I'm just kidding. I'm doing some great industrials for Raytheon, which if you work there, you'll really enjoy. We just finished, and it's been on the Xbox Live Arcade for a while, but I'm still kind of telling people that even though the game is ridiculously hard, everyone who likes anime should play Comic Jumper. It's called Comic Jumper: The Adventures of Captain Smiley. It's an Xbox Live Arcade game made by Twisted Pixel in Austin, and they had my studio do all the voice work, and so everybody you know from anime voiceover is going to be involved in it in some way or another. I mean, every single person you can think of, like Travis and Mike McFarland and Colleen and Brina and everybody that you know has a role in it in some way or another, and it's pretty funny.
I was like curses when you said Xbox Live, because I've only got a PlayStation 3 and a Wii over here.
Oh, well, it's better to actually have all three consoles, I think. It saves you money in the long run.
That's true. But at the same time, I'm very much, I think it is true because I'm a collector. So it's, for me, you can always find better deals on different consoles.
Yep. That plus, you don't have to buy that game because you're bored and there's nothing good else on your console. So you don't end up wasting money on games that you don't really want to play anyway. Mm. So there you go. You've learned a lesson. Oh, but laugh as if it was really funny. Okay, sorry.
Is there anything else that you want to promote? Any projects that recently came out?
Oh, no, I'm not a very good shameless self-promoter. I know that I know I was involved in that show Summer Wars, which you maybe have heard some about recently. I think it was up for nomination for an Academy Award for Best Animated Film, which is pretty cool. I know they've been doing showings around the United States here and there, trying to qualify it for its Oscar run, and I know it's probably playing around somebody's town right now. So if you get a chance, you should go out and see it in the theater. It's really, really beautiful. Let's see what else is going on. Cons I'll be attending soon. If you happen to live anywhere near Columbus, Ohio, and you're in town January 28th to the 30th, and you're not, snowed in or something, you should come to OhioCon, because it's gonna be ridiculous. This year, I am going to be roasted in the traditional roast fashion by people like Brina Palencia and Monica Rial and Mike McFarland and Chris Ayers and Greg Ayers, and it's going to be interesting.
Now, you don't seem very worried about that.
I'm not, no, because they all know that if they say anything too wrong about me, I will destroy them.
Is that how you threaten your friends and your colleagues?
No, I think I've just done too much voice work on Japanese fighting games. And now I will destroy you. My training has served me well. Sorry, I just like to throw that out every now and then. I like to walk into rooms sometimes and go, let's see the results of my training. And then really jazzy music starts playing. But it never really works out the same way it does in Japanese fighting games for whatever reason.
Well, maybe one day.
Maybe someday. I don't really have that much else to pimp out. I'm even trying to, like, we're so usually far ahead of what's actually being released that it's hard for me to even know what I'm allowed to talk about. I've done some really cool voice work recently on some games, but I don't know if they've been announced just yet.
Yeah, it's a wonderful NDA. We love them so.
We do. But, yeah, I don't know. I'm about to announce, that my wife is having a baby, and we're hoping it has a really low voice.
Congratulations.
Thanks. It's a girl, and, Tabitha should be having her here in about, less than a month. So, be able to do interviews with you guys at any hour of the night or day, since apparently you don't sleep once you have a baby.
Yeah, I've heard about that. I lived with my brother when he had his first child. He now has 3. So, best of luck and keep well and all that fun stuff.
Thanks. I feel like time is just flying by.
Well, you're probably very excited too.
Oh, I know. But I feel like it's flying by in this interview as well. Like, how long have we been talking? It seems like we've only been talking for like 3 minutes. I looked up at the clock and it's been like 20 minutes, hasn't it?
It's been about 30.
Wow.
Yes.
I hope I haven't bored anybody.
Not at all. I think people love you. And for all those people who do want to stalk you in a nice way, is there any place online where they can keep updated with what you're doing, like Facebook, Twitter, any of that?
Yeah, I do the Facebook thing. If you go to www.facebook.com/bestvoiceever, then you can get to my Facebook page. And yes, it's a joke. I promise. I really don't think that about myself. But yeah, that's where you can find me. My personal Facebook page I kind of keep from my family and people who want to see, pictures of my butt and stuff like that, which probably more than just my family, but I've got to keep it like that for now. So it's the best place to find me.
Well, that's understandable. You always want to have, sort of your private life and your public life sort of separate, since some fans can be overzealous.
Yes. I've actually started receiving some fan mail at my house for whatever reason. Somehow my home address has gotten out there. It's very weird. If you do find my home address, please try not to send me stuff there. I appreciate it. Thanks.
So what do you think about stalkers at conventions, though? In the nice way, quote unquote.
Well, I don't know. It's always been something that sort of blows my mind. Because this generation of voice actors is the first generation of voice actors that people actually know of. And we can thank the internet for that. But when we were kids, when I was a kid at least, there was no way to find out who was the voice of so-and-so. And even if you did, you just kind of had to look it up on at the end of the credits, which usually moved by really fast. And there wasn't anywhere you could really go to necessarily look it up unless you were really savvy at the library or something like that. So yeah, it's kind of blows my mind that people are so infatuated with certain voice actors. And sometimes I think it's just I don't mind it if somebody is really interested to meet you and they like what you do and they actually, they're fascinated by me as a voice professional or audio person. That's totally cool. But the only time it's a bit creepy is when you can tell that the person that you're talking to may not be able to tell the difference between the character you play and you. That's when it gets scary.
I can understand that, but I think obsession might be a little bit too strong of a word, but I think that stems from how much anime fans love Japanese culture, because a lot of voice actors in Japan are also very sought after by their fans.
That's true. That is true. And I hope that there's somebody in Japan that has to say over 9,000 in Japanese. Because it would be great to know that someone else has to deal with it too. It's kind of cool to be even remotely associated with a meme. Even though I wasn't the original voice of the meme, as very well people probably know, that's not necessarily in the original over 9,000 clip, that was not my voice. That was Brian Drummond of the Canadian cast. But I still get asked every 15 seconds at conventions to say over 9,000. And that is a weird thing. Imagine if someone just wanted you to say one thing over and over again. And after a while, it just becomes like you get so weirded out when people ask you that you kind of don't want to say it out of spite. Sort of like, I'm not going to say it this time. But then you have to, because you're like, why am I being such a jerk? They're just asking me to say two words. So yeah, it's a crazy thing.
Well, this is actually a perfect time to ask you if you'd be willing to participate in a 91.8 The Fan tradition.
Yes. Is it over 9,001.8?
No, it's not. Okay, we just asked you
will.
for a radio bump.
Oh yeah, sweet.
We do this live on air in case you have any mess ups, so no pressure. But we asked
Sweet.
if you could say, my name is, you insert your name, I do this, you insert what you do, and you're tuned into 91.8 The Fan.
Cool. I'm Vegeta, the Prince of Saiyans. I kill people in their sleep and blast them with fire that comes out of my hands. And you're listening to 91.8 The Fan.
That was great.
Was I supposed to do it in character, or was I supposed to?
You can the character is perfectly fine. I'm pretty
Good.
sure everybody's going to request that one now.
Thank you.
But your fans have been very active during this time in our IRC chats, saying congratulations for your baby and all that other stuff. So would you like to say anything specially to them?
Hi, hey, what's up? How have you been? What's going on? How's life? Actually, has anyone asked any specific questions on those sweet IRC chats? Does anyone have a specific question for me because I know I've just sort of rambled about general things, but is there one that's coming to mind?
Let's see, I'm actually going through real quick. We're on about 30-second lag for most people, so if anybody has a question, we can actually go to a break if you'd be willing to answer fan questions.
Sure, absolutely. Yeah.
Awesome. Then we'll actually do that and extend this interview just a little bit. So we're going to take a short break. But if you want to give Chris a question, just log into our IRC, head on over to 918thefan.com, click on IRC chat, and join us. We're a bunch of very wacky, fun people. Keep it tuned to 91.8 The Fan, everything you want and nothing you don't.
This is a public service announcement. It has recently come to our attention that not wearing shirts causes Sassenach cancer, double herpes, and super diabetes. To prevent these made-up illnesses, 918 The Fan is distributing protective clothing specifically designed to protect you from hazardous materials through a patented process that we won't explain because you'll probably just be too stupid to understand there's totally not fake or made-up science. To get your protective garments, simply head over to 918thefan.com and click on the apparel button under store. Remember, only 918 The Fan's protective shirts are 100% effective in protecting you from the radiation given off by death crystals and dysentery lasers. Don't settle for cheap imitations. It could cost you your life.
Hey, everybody out there.
And then I said, you can lick my nose.
We're back on air again.
Oh, cool. Yeah. I was saying funny stuff again. I just want everyone to think, wow, Chris is so funny.
But you are so funny.
Oh, good. Thanks.
Yes. Okay.
But do your thing. Don't let me interrupt you.
Not at all.
Just where you want to start. It's cool.
We actually got some really interesting questions from you guys over in the IRC. Thank you for participating. Some of them were actually pretty funny. Like, we got an interesting one from K-Rath. How is it being as awesome as you are? Like, you're so awesome. Oh, did we lose him? Curses. I think we might have lost our Avenger here. But we will get him back on air. Fun stuff. Always love that. So keep it tuned to 91.8 The Fan. Everything you want and nothing you don't.
Oh, golly, I'm bored.
Have you considered listening to some music, Mr. Ooze, sir?
It's time to pay the piper.
As fun as destroying the command center may be, sir, might I suggest 918 The Fan? Lots of amusing teen DJs and the like.
A teenager with a big mouth. Not much has changed in 6,000 years.
I believe, sir, that they also have a number of celebrity guests from the anime field in for interviews.
Woo! Where's my autograph book?
That's the spirit, sir. 918thefan.com. As the kids say, check it out.
Hey everybody, we're back again. Sorry about that. Last call. It's not my fault this time. I blame my guest. Just saying.
That was me, because I get so many calls because I'm so popular.
Well, actually, that was my first question. Karath from our IRC chat asked, how is it being as awesome as you?
Well, I just live every day, as it comes. I try to, harness the awesome when I wake up and, try to encapsulate it into a ball and share it with people all day. And then I put it up at night so I can get some sleep because otherwise, it just keeps me up. But yeah, it's pretty awesome being me. I couldn't even explain it actually because with your not awesome ears, you wouldn't be able to understand it. But I kind of have my own language that exists only in my head, and everything is free. So it's been great.
The free part sounds really nice.
Mm-hmm.
Just gonna say. One of our other people from the IRC, actually one of our staff, his name is Eagle Eyes. He said, "How long do you see yourself being involved with the industry?"
Well, Eagle Eyes, I plan on being involved in this business as long as they will let me. I know that I'm lucky, extremely lucky, to be doing what I'm doing. And now if he's referring to the anime business, I'll be in it as long as they will let me. The voice business, I hope, for a very long time. And as far as making things that sound cool, in the audio world, I will be involved until the day I die. I will not stop working on projects until I can no longer raise my hand to do so,
I definitely understand. And it actually goes with another question that the user Hot Wheels asked. I have a question. What made Chris stick with voice acting? I'm going to assume it's your passion and your love for it, but feel free to explain your own answer.
What would it be? Why would I stick with voice acting?
What made you stick with voice acting?
Well, yeah. The thing about voice acting is it's really hard to get into it, and once you're in, you really don't want to get out of it. I mean, if you can get, I'm not gonna lie, if you can get people fooled enough to believe that you are good enough at saying something, and they'll pay you to do it, do it. If someone will pay you to read a paragraph that doesn't get you arrested, then yeah, do it. So I can't stop doing it. It's a great business. We get to wait, our sessions don't normally happen till 10 in the morning at the earliest. We can go to work wearing whatever we want to. And in fact, we have an excuse because if you wear real starchy clothes or anything like that, you'll hear it in the booth. So we get to wear all soft, cottony, awesome, relaxing clothes. Most of the time the booths are air conditioned. It's a lot different than the film industry, where you have to get to the set at 4:00 in the morning to only wait 3 hours to actually do 2 minutes worth of work, and then you have to wait again. And I really like it. It's a great business, and you'd be a fool if you're in it and somehow screwed it up for yourself.
DBZ Jazzy asks, have you had a funny experience while recording in the booth?
All the experiences in the booth are relatively funny when you think about it, because it's really weird. It's a really weird concept, putting your words into somebody else's mouth. But let's see. I like to play jokes on people. I once had Carrie Savage convinced that the booth, the light in the booth was controlled by my voice. And it was just really on a remote switch that I had in my pocket. But let's see. It's always fun to have cool people in the studio. Travis is always fun and funny. I don't know. Laura Bailey can do really weird things with her stomach. She can make these disgusting gurgly noises when she presses in on her stomach. Everybody has their own weird little quirks. But I'm just trying to pull out a really funny one. I can't. I once had somebody else convinced that there was something weird going on with their voice because we put a small pitch shift on their voice. And so the actors in the booth going, hello? It sounds weird to me in here. And this is a girl talking. And they're like, no, it sounds perfectly normal here. But I mean, my voice kind of doesn't sound normal. I'm like, yeah, your voice does sound a bit weird today. Have you have a cold or anything? And no, but it just kind of sounds, all right, well, let's go ahead and get started. Wait, but I can't, my voice just sounds, anyway, so, yeah, that's how it works.
Oh, I feel bad for the people you've tortured in the booth.
I know. It goes with the territory.
Well, since we're talking about funny moments, what's the wackiest con you've ever been to? This is by Jesse.
Wacky cons. Oh, jeez. Wacky cons. Like the wackiest of the cons, to be honest. I mean, it's tough to decide like what's wacky because everyone has their own definition. But the wackiest ones to me are the tiny ones where I got invited to one like around the Carolinas, I think, and it was so tiny that basically all day you were around the same 15 people. So it felt like you were answering the same questions, and you kind of get to know everybody throughout the day. But nobody was really in the mood to like be relaxed. Everyone still treated me like a guest, even though I was sitting like 5 feet away from them. So that was wacky to me. Ohio cons are always wacky. I made as I said, I'm gonna be another one in January. Yeah, I remember one Ohio con a few years ago. I made the terrible mistake of drinking something somebody gave me, and that was a bad idea because I blacked out kind of during a panel, and it wasn't good. I don't remember everything I said, but I heard I said some terrible, terrible things. So.
Uh-oh.
Yeah, there you go.
And it's kind of funny that you mentioned smaller conventions because I have to say that I'm really fond of the smaller conventions when it comes to being there and interacting with the guests. You get more one-on-one time. And with big conventions like, for example, like Anime Expo, 50,000 people, you're lucky if you see one of the guests.
Oh, yeah. Yeah. I'll be lucky if I see any of the guests there. Those are huge and overwhelming. It's kind of like the first Comic-Con I ever went to. It was like in 1999. It was me and Sean Schimmel, and he was the voice of Goku, and Sonny Strait, the voice of Krillin, and I think Stephanie Nadolny, who was Gohan. We went to Comic-Con, and none of us knew what to expect, and we had a line that was 5 hours long. It was the most, I'd never experienced anything quite like it in my life. I felt like Elvis for a moment. And it never got crazier than that. I mean, it was the first time, I guess, we'd done anything like that. So it was pretty neat.
On to the last fan question that we're going to take. Caitlin said, other than the animes you provide your voice to, what others have you seen?
Let's see. I don't spend a lot of time outside of the studio watching a lot of anime because all week I end up watching various things. But the last ones I actually watched and enjoyed, I used to like watching Ping Pong Club, and I used to like I watched all of Fooly Cooly, and occasionally I'll catch a Japanese, feature like Ponyo or and I've been watching some of Funimation has been producing a lot of like dubs for horror films and things like that. So occasionally I've been watching some of those. But when I'm not at the studio or I'm not working on anime and I'm not entertaining my wife or doing social things, I typically like to play video games. That's kind of where my true passions lie.
If it makes you feel better, I'm sort of the same way. Even though I do this and I should know all about anime or watch all the recent anime, I haven't watched anime in about 2 years. Yeah. So I'm a bad person, yes. But I play video games all the time. I was just playing Prince of Persia: Sands of Time earlier today, mm-hmm. and it glitched on me. But
oh, that sucks.
That's sort of where I've been lately in terms of my hobbies, and it seems like a lot of people are turning to games as well.
Yeah, they're just so much more interactive to me. I'm not saying that anything's wrong with anime by any far stretch of the imagination, but there's just a lot of TV these days, and it's so nice to kind of mix it up with something like games.
Definitely. And that's all the fan questions that I think we'll answer for now, because we're nearing the end of our time together.
Fine.
Sad face. But I really do appreciate you coming onto the show. This was really enjoyable, and I also have to thank you for spending as much time with us as you did.
Well, thanks. It was actually quite a pleasure, and this was pretty neat. I haven't done the Skype over the iPhone thing, and I will say it's crystal clear. It's a complete silence when when I don't actually hear you saying anything. When you actually aren't speaking, it is utter silence on the line.
Awesome.
It's weird.
Well, thank you so much. And for everybody out there who missed any of this interview, you'll be able to catch it on the website in the next few days. So you want to keep it tuned to 91.8 The Fan, everything you want and nothing you don't.